welcome back to Schmitter's 100 Acre Woods. So today's my RDO, trying to get some stuff caught up on from this week. Weather hasn't been cooperating. Got a couple tents last night and then got another tent this morning. Just downboard for a bit, kind of making stuff pretty wet. So I'm out here at the mill. Have some logs we've been getting back. I'll show you. Couple of white oaks, some red oak, and then a sycamore. Sycamore is pretty small, so I may try to get it on the mill. I'll be able to rotate it myself and work on getting some boards out of that. I'm trying to make more like construction lumber for that, so we can see kind of how it does. Supposedly it will twist more and things like that, so just want to test it out and see how it does. But show you that and then some of the white oak that we brought back. Alright, so if you've been watching my videos the other day, put the tire pressure sensors on the trailer. So go check out that video if you haven't seen it. So these are the white oaks that we took the 62 to go get. Didn't end up getting video of it. I took some cameras and stuff, but just it was at another person's house and everything. So didn't end up recording there. Ended up, it was a tree that fell down in a storm, and you can see like this one's starting to rot up here a little bit more, and there's a little bit on the outside, but by the time you get this thing cut up, there's still a lot of good wood in that center. This one has some more knots and stuff on it, but we went ahead and grabbed it, and then this one down here is obviously pretty nice. So kind of some measurements on these. I'm not sure which side I got here, but let's flip this around here. So this one, we're looking at like 26, and then the wide direction, about 28, and that's the smaller one. And then this one, we're looking at about 30, and then by the long way, about 33 at its max over here. So it's a little bit smaller than that all the way through, but decent size, pretty heavy. This one is about all the tractor wanted to do to pick that up. So it's pretty decent size. I think it's only about 9 foot long and everything, but it's just the section we could get out of the woods from where this was at. So then the other thing, so these are red oaks from the 100 acres. Got them brought back. Can get some stuff milled out of those. And then the red oak I was talking about, or the sycamore I was talking about is back here. So, like I said, it's pretty small. It's only about 14, so 14 by about 16 I think is what, about 15. It went in the dump trailer, so made it just a little bit small so it would go in there. Got a little bit of a curve to it, so I may cut it down so that it's only about 12, just to kind of save a little bit of that. But even if I don't get to milling this right away, I'll try to get this on the mill so that it's ready. And show you a couple other things I want to try to get done today, if the weather cooperates. Okay, next thing is over here at the log splitters. So I'm not going to get too close, it's pretty muddy right now. Haven't just gotten all that rain, but essentially I have the stuff that needs to be split up, the stuff that I've split, obviously splitter in the middle. So last weekend went through, I'll get in here. Last weekend went through, got kind of a spot leveled up here that this could sit in that was close enough for the hoses to reach over and connect up. So have it all hooked up and leveled out, and pretty easy and nice to where you can stack a handful of this stuff there on the left hand side, split it, and then just for quickness I can typically set it over on the right hand side, and then once I kind of get all of that split, I then stack into the basket here. So this is all hickory. I'm trying to kind of separate it out. May try to do something with it as far as like smoking wood. It's supposed to be, like hickory smoked bacon and all that. It's supposed to be really good for that. So I know a couple people that have smokers and would like some of this wood. So getting it split up and gonna have it kind of separate but I'll get a full basket that I'll kind of do for that, and then there's still lots here, so I'll get another basket and just kind of do it as normal bag firewood. And then I have another tote around the corner over there, back behind the trailer, that is more just poplar, so I may try to mix in some of this hardwood with that poplar. Okay, I'm not sure if I'll get all this done today since I have a late start with the rain this morning, but have the grater box, or not the grater box, but the land plane on the small tractor still from when we took it to the property. Really want to take and grade out the driveway. We've been having lots of rain here lately, and it's all been kind of washing down the hill. I want to try to scrape that back up the hill, kind of get her flattened out. This is just a lot better tool to do that, like I showed last weekend at the property. Just the way, you don't collect a whole bunch of gravel, it just kind of spills over and creates a nice flat drive. So we don't have a ton of gravel on the driveway still, but there's enough there that I can kind of scrape it back up the hill and get it leveled back out. So I may try to do that here shortly. Probably do it first just because the drive's pretty solid still, and let some of this other stuff dry up, which sun went back away, so we'll see how long that takes. Okay, and here's the last thing, is these are faces for our drawers made out of cherry. So went through and got them all ready. Put a back cut here for like a spot to get your hand on, just rounded the front. So they need to all be sanded still, and then can work on sealing those. So we have the 4 different sizes here for our drawers. We got all the cabinet doors done over the last month, between making them, getting them stained, getting them put up, and then doing some painting upstairs. So I'm gonna work on getting these put on, just kind of playing with some of the different toys, shaper and things like that, so, and the joiner and the planer. So I'm gonna try to get these sanded. So I did get this Milwaukee Fuel orbital sander. So I've been using it some for some of these projects, had it for a little while now. Seems to work fairly well. If you put a big battery on there, one of the complaints is that it's pretty heavy, and obviously if you put a 12 amp hour battery on there, it's going to be heavy. If you stick to like the 5s or the 6s, it's manageable, it's not too bad. So for long periods of sanding may get uncomfortable, but for like doing small projects like this, really handy to be able to just kind of take it outside, because you do get a lot of dust from that. Take it outside, do something quick, and then not have to spend a lot of time with that. So I'm gonna try to get that done as well, and try to get these cleaned up so that we can work on getting them sealed and getting them put on. So probably for the rest of the day, it'll mainly be time lapse. I have my other camera set up for that. Probably try to go through, start with the drive, get those done. Probably come over here to these, get these sanded down. That won't take too long. You get the sawhorses out there, a couple of pieces of wood. I'll just get these set up and go through them really quick. That way they're done and can work on getting them sealed tonight. And then I'll probably get the log on the sawmill next, and then hopefully the sun came back out, it'll start to dry up a little bit. I'll get over to the splitter, finish getting that one tote full, and then hopefully get another tote brought over and start working on that. So with that, I'll have to change some of the stuff over on the 62 to get the forks on and everything, so be a little bit more time in that. But it's kind of what my plan is from RDO, trying to get caught up on some stuff. To having the day off, trying to get things caught back up and get some stuff done. So join me while we work on these handful of tasks today. As I mentioned, we're going to go ahead and start with the land plane, so trying to mostly scrape stuff up the drive. So you notice here I have to play with the top link a couple times to get the set correct so that you have the front and the back blade touching. So I have to do this a couple times. That's where the top link tilt kit would be nice, like with the third hydraulic, but just not an option for this tractor, so kind of got it set here where it's working fairly well. Have both the front and rear blade touching when you get everything flattened out. So I ended up doing a little bit both directions and then just trying to get some of the holes filled at the bottom of the drive. It's amazing how even though we don't have that much gravel in the drive, there's a lot underneath, and even without the tines down to really kind of kick that up, it you know, starts to bring up some additional gravel. So pretty happy with it, and does a pretty good job getting everything flattened out, and you can kind of see where you have extra gravel or not, just kind of based on where, you know, it comes up. So do this several times just to kind of get everything flattened out, and then try to get on the sides a little bit to pull any gravel that kind of got over toward the yard pulled back in. So then earlier in the winter, I went over and graded the neighbor's drive and got a little bit of gravel off, so and created some humps and stuff in it for so I go ahead and go over and get this graded back out for her. She had recently gotten gravel prior to the winter, and so there's plenty of gravel there, just needed to you know, be leveled back out, and that was partly with the fresh gravel made it more difficult to plow without just peeling all the new gravel off. So go over, try to get that smoothed out a little bit for her, just because I knew that I had left some humps. I wanted to get over there earlier and just you know, wasn't making it over, so just did a few passes up and down for her to kind of get that graded back out. And here's, you know, a good example of where it kind of, you know, just spills over and makes a nice flat spot. Really need to do a little bit more, but it started to absolutely pour rain here, so even by the time I got back over in the short drive, I was pretty soaked through, so had to cut that short and move on to the next thing. Okay, well, I was out trying to get everything planed out with the land plane here, and got our driveway done, and went over to the neighbor's. She's one that I plowed her driveway, and whenever I plowed it, I ended up getting a lot of the gravel off and just kind of creating humps. So I ran over there real quick to kind of get it graded back out, and it decided to just absolutely start pouring rain. So not looking real good for getting dried up over there at the log yard. They do some splitting, but if it stops raining here, I'll work on getting that on the mill, and maybe I'll work on milling that next. So while I have this period of rain, I go ahead and get to sanding inside. So just real quick time lapse of getting through these. We have this dust box here to kind of collect some of the dust, and then we have that squirrel cage kind of above my head that also filters and gets dust out. So just go ahead and do that. Okay, well, I got those sanded, went ahead and just did it inside since it was raining, but sun's back out now. But sun's back out. I may go over and go ahead and just split and get that done. It's going to be muddy over there either way, so I really want to get the rest of that tote filled up. So probably go ahead and work on that and just get it done. And then after that, probably work on getting the sycamore on the mill over there, and see how much time I have left and work on milling that up. If I don't do it now, I may do it later tonight. So as I mentioned, everything else today is going to be time lapse. So we'll go ahead and start working on this hickory, and figured out a pretty good process for using this. Definitely much quicker. A lot of times you don't have to use the full stroke of the cylinder. You know, the first little bit you can typically get that to pop apart. Even with this hickory that's fairly green, it seems to come apart pretty easy. I know with some of the other poplar that I've used, it's been pretty dry, so once you kind of get it to come apart, it pops right apart. But I can set stuff up on the left and then take big handfuls and stack it in the tote once it's split. So it definitely seems to speed up the process a little bit, and definitely a lot easier on the back, just where you're standing upright and doing everything right there at, you know, waist height and at a comfortable level for your arms and everything, not hunched over the splitter. The only disadvantage that I've mentioned before is this is only about 18 inches between the bottom of the table to the splitter, but that actually works out fairly well because that's how big a piece will go in my bag firewood, which is primarily kind of what I'm using this for, and that kind of then gives me an indicator of whether or not it will go in the bag. Alright, so the rain's held out for a little while now, enough to get number 25 done, so have that. It's all hickory. I need to put the forks back on the big tractor to move it around, but it can sit there for now. I still have a little bit of hickory there, and then that's the other tote I was talking about back there. But I'll go ahead, just leave it here for now. Hopefully this weekend dries up a little bit, get switched back over to the forks, get this moved out of the way, bring in a fresh tote, and start filling that one up with the rest of that hickory, and then that poplar that's back over there, and get that one filled up, and then still have this mess here. Dad and I have kind of talked about it, and I think I'm going to take most of this over to a buddy's house, kind of pick through a little bit of it, but I still have that tote there, two or three more back there that are stacked up like that one was, ready to split, so that'll be another, 3 or so totes for bag firewood, so I'm just not going to be able to get through all this. So when it dries up, I'll be able to put most of this, cut it to 16 foot, put it in the dump trailer, and take it down to his place, and he's got an outdoor burner, can burn most of that. I do want to pick through a little bit more and get some more pieces like this. So this one here, cut off, so it's got the bark on one side, fresh on the other side. My hope is to kind of get some of these picked up off the ground and slide this under it. Kind of keep that up off the ground, hopefully stop a little bit of rot, allow airflow underneath, and hopefully save some of these logs until we can get to them. Like this cherry's been around for a long while, so it may not be any good. Same with that one there. Other stuff hadn't been here that long, gets hit. So we're kind of keep bringing logs here. We're kind of in a holding pattern until we can work on that back there, so we have some place to store all this, because I have some nice walnut, hickory, and it really needs to be stored, and we want to build onto the back, and we have most of the stuff to do that now. It just needs to clear up weather-wise, so kind of show you that one more time, and then show you the sycamore I got on. Okay, so if you've been watching my videos, I've talked about this once before, so I won't go into a whole lot of detail. Basically, kind of have an uphill slant here. You can tell by like the brick and kind of see that there. So what I want to do is cut this flat, go to about where that block is there. Go ahead and put a row of those decorative block, hold that dirt wall, put a drain in around, and then come out here. So we have this drain right now that kind of goes down. Well, we want to put an additional drain, help dry all this up and dry this underneath up, so that you have the runoff from everything not having a wet spot. So then put in a drain from here, going kind of more that direction, so down our path, down over that way, and then just open it up so that all of this dries up, because it holds water really bad right now. But we'll basically be able to come off about, I think it was 10-12 feet to come up, and then just have this under cover, and then either build some kind of rack system inside, or having 100% figured out what we want to do inside, but some kind of racks to where we can mill up wood, and then either put some in this direction by hand, so basically take it off the mill and put it right in, or the other option that we hope we would be able to do, and we're not sure, is be able to basically bundle it up on the forks and then bring the tractor in around and then set stuff in with like the tractor. So kind of just have to see if that's going to work or not. By hand definitely will. By forks we'll have to kind of see, and most of it will have probably into like 2 sections and a post in the middle, and basically have it so that most of the stuff's going to be 10, 12 feet. And then if we have really long boards, they could go at the bottom for like the 18s if we have any of those. So it's kind of the thought there, what we want to get built. Obviously have some stuff to move out of the way, need to clean it up. But since we need to do dirt work and basically take this and go that direction, if it's wet, like this is here, since we have so much dirt that's going to come, so basically we're going to take the dirt off here, start filling in this spot and kind of slant it off. Well, it's going to involve driving in this area, and with it being so wet, you're just going to make an awful mess trying to do that right now. So again, one thing we're going to have to wait for it to dry up a little bit. So go ahead and work on getting that sycamore on, and here I was able to just use the backhoe since it was kind of behind those other logs, get it fished out, and then it's not that heavy, so I was able to just keep it on the backhoe and just drive around and set it on. Okay, next is the sycamore. I got it put on, just use the hoe, fish it out of there, and then set it on. So from this perspective, it really gives you an idea of how much curve there is to it. So, sitting on the ground where it's not even or flat, you don't get as good a sense of it. Here on the bed rails, you kind of get a better idea. So I measured it out. We could get a comfortable 8 and like a 7 out of it if we wanted to cut it. Because right now if you cut, you're going to be cutting quite a bit of the edge of that off, and you're going to have a lot of waste, and it's not that big a log to begin with. So if we cut it, I think we'd be able to reduce the amount of waste, still get some good boards out of it. Really, we're just looking like maybe some 2x4s to use for the purlins that would be on the roof back here. That's the only thing we haven't really cut for. We have some 2x4s laying around, but not enough to do, all of that up there. Everything else I think we've cut. So this would be a good test to see if the 2x4s are straight, how hard they become when they start to dry, and things like that. Because those are the two main points I've heard with sycamore is that whenever it dries, it doesn't dry straight, and whenever it dries, it becomes near impossible to drill through or put a nail through. So obviously take that with some grain of salt, if you will, kind of see what our experience is with it, with the tools that we have and what we're used to working with, see how much more difficult it is, and like if the nail gun we have, if it handles it just fine, then it may not really be an issue as far as the hardness goes. And then we'll just have to see if we bind it up like we have other stuff, see how it dries and if it dries straight. Alright, so go ahead and get everything set here. So here I was determining kind of where I wanted to cut it. So I got about an 8/6 piece out of it, and then about a 7-foot piece. So move that over just a little bit just to better utilize the clamps that we have on, and that way it can hold it a little bit better. So get that fired up, let it run just a little bit, get the blade tensioned up, and everything. So here just kind of start by getting the top removed, and just from the process of trying to get down to kind of some better boards, I go ahead and take some 1x that we can kind of test out and see how they do. And then once I'm kind of happy with how far down we are, I go ahead and get that rotated. All of these I do dimensional lumber, so I do about 1.5 by 3.5 for our 2x4s, and do it that way. So just make that consistent. That's kind of the other boards that we've been using, and for the purlins it doesn't need to be any bigger than that. The nice thing about a log this size, it's really easy to move by yourself. Some of the bigger logs, it really takes 2 people to kind of hold the log. Here just kind of going through and figuring if I where I need to cut so that I end up with the sizes that I need once I kind of rotate and get everything, so that I have kind of level or even spacing whenever I go through and cut. You can see these go ahead and twist just a little bit as you cut them, but it wasn't too bad, manageable I would say for a lot of these, but not unreasonable to where we could actually, still work with them. So I don't get all of this on video just because my camera ends up dying and I didn't realize, but basically I get this cut through, I get the other one cut, we end up with about 12 2x4s and 7 or 8 1x's that should be nice. So here, just going through, getting the bark off the side, after kind of getting the others cut out, just so we have nice square boards on both sides, and do that. The camera I had doing time-lapse ended up dying, so I didn't get everything recorded as far as getting everything finished up, but basically I think where it left off, I got the 1x's trimmed up, and then started on the second log and worked on getting the shorter ones up. So here, kind of what I got in 1x. So all this is red oak from before, but here have these, and you can see kind of what we got on the longer ones, and then the shorter ones up there. See, have a little bit of twisting this direction, and that's not as concerning, just because, I mean, long ways this way you can typically bend those boards, and since we'll be using them for purlings, once you get them on, you can kind of typically get them pushed down. It's typically this direction that you have a little bit more concern about, just because it's a lot more difficult to pull the board in that direction. So but here's what we got. Let's see, so ended up with 20 in total, so not too bad for the couple of small logs. You can see here, have a little bit of splitting. These have been sitting for about a week now, so a little bit of splitting here. Got them bound up, still pretty tight, so they haven't shrunk up real bad. At least they didn't right away. So have them stack stickered here, kind of see how they do. This red oak is also stuff that will be for that addition on the back. So these will be like the rafters, and then we have some 2x material for walls and different things like that we need. So as mentioned, we have some 2x4s already. Those are kind of back there, but get some more cut up here. So we'll see how they do. I think I mentioned before, we have a lot of sycamore at the 100 acres that we really need to cut down, because it's going to be too close to where we want to build the house. So they're going to need to be cut down anyway. And there's several in the area that sycamores grow fast and tall, so they end up taking up light for other trees that would be better quality trees. So we want to get some of those out of there anyway, just to kind of help open up the canopy. So hoping that this sycamore does well for like this application, because we have a lot of it that we could utilize. So anyway, this is kind of what we ended up with as far as the sycamore is concerned, and kind of what we got out of it. And it's kind of time will tell to see how it turns out. So thank you for joining me while kind of get some handful of things done. Fairly productive day, even though it rained. So able to get the drives, kind of get some gravel back on those. Got what I needed split up. Got some sanding done while it rained, and then got out here to the sawmill building and the saw shack, and get that sycamore milled up so that we could see how it does. So thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.